wicketkeeper batsman, Indian legend already. $1,500,000. Sold, I said. And the world of cricket changed forever for Pant, which are eye-watering. All I would say is whatever he sells for today, Kohli would have made more.
For months now, there has been a lot of talk around the IPL auction. The buzz, of course, is palpable, and that is bound to happen in a country like India, where cricket is treated more than a sport. Hello and welcome to Republic World. Today we have with us somebody who's been the face of IPL auctions. Yes, we are talking about Richard Madley. He's joining us right now on Republic World. Hello and welcome to the show, Richard. So yes, Richard, let's get started. How did your journey start, this IPL journey? Because you come from a different part of the globe where cricket is not the most popular sport. So how did you get associated with IPL, the madness around cricket in India? How did that happen? And also, did you have any apprehension about it when it first landed in your lap?
Yes, indeed. Well, the IPL story was in 2007 here in England. Not at a cricket match, but in fact at a tennis tournament. It was the brainchild of a man called Lalit Modi, who was having a cup of tea in a break of play for rain, of course, at the Wimbledon tennis tournament in July 2007, when he met with a man called Andrew Wildblood, head of cricket for IMG. And he told Andrew that he had an idea that was going to revolutionize world cricket. A franchise-based tournament played in India for 6 weeks with the world's top players being invited to play in the tournament and to be distributed by auction. The idea was revolutionary, but the results you can see as today have been outstanding. To revolutionize world cricket. He was a great visionary with enthusiasm and passion, not just for the sport, for business as well. I think others were slightly hesitant. However, as soon as the franchises were sold by tender to the 8 owners based around India, we knew that they had confidence in the concept. Then we signed up 82 of the world's top cricketers. But there was certainly still, even before the auction itself, some apprehension that we weren't quite sure where this was going to go. And it wasn't until that day in the Oberoi Hilton Hotel in Mumbai that we realized that the world of cricket was going to change.
I believe, Richard, that you're a full-time auctioneer. So how did you foray into a profession like auctioneering?
Well, I'm a career auctioneer. My father was an auctioneer. My father-in-law was an auctioneer. So auctioneering is in my blood, and I combine those rare qualities of being a qualified auctioneer, but also passionate about cricket, which probably distinguishes me from the other auctioneers who have taken my place, all of whom great auctioneers, none of whom with the passion for the game of cricket that I had. So that was the combination of the two. And of course, being invited to India in 2008 to conduct the very first IPL player auction was indeed a privilege, an honour. I'd never been to India before. I'd always wanted to go. Obviously, I've been many times since then. But when I first got there back in February 2008, I was a little bit apprehensive. I had no idea what to expect. I walked into an auction room, a ballroom that was converted to the auction room, and was surrounded by stars like Shah Rukh Khan and Shilpa Shetty and big industrialists, Vijay Mallya, and the Ambani family. And I think the interesting thing when I look back was I wasn't actually that swayed by the money in the room that day. I knew that there was a buzz around the room, there was great interest, but I didn't realize how important these people were. And the first player to sell in the IPL, player number 2, was Shane Warne. Shane Warne was the first person I sold, and when my hammer came down at 450,000 US dollars, I knew that things were about to change. And then, who came up next? MS Dhoni, wicketkeeper batsman, Indian legend already. $1,500,000 sold, I said, and the world of cricket changed forever. If ever you were going to pinpoint a time when the cricket changed, it was the moment that my hammer came down and I sold none other than Mahendra Singh Dhoni to the Chennai Super Kings. Things would never be the same again, and we realised that the IPL was here to stay.
Right, Richard. So, Richard, who are the most aggressive people at the auctioning? So, while the auctions are happening, who are the most aggressive people, like the franchisees, who really go for it, really go hard for a player? Any such franchisees, Richard?
Yeah, somebody asked me that question recently, and I said, there are many traits that I've seen from bidders in the room over the 10 years that I conducted the auctions, but aggression, no, that's not something that ever enters into the room. It's a very friendly environment. It's competitive, of course, but in fact, there's friendly competition from between all the franchisees. So aggression, no. There are some that are perhaps a little bit more restrained than others. I think that Rajasthan Royals, led by Manoj Badale, have a very cool and considered approach to their bidding. The Punjab franchise, I suppose there's a little bit of the unknown. I think when I was selling to them, of course, today they hold the key to Rishabh Pant, which is being talked about across the cricket world. So let's see how they get on in the auction in a few hours' time.
Right. Fine. If there are no aggressive franchisees, according to you, who are the wisest men? Like the guys who take the wisest calls, looking at the budget, their purse and all of that. Who are the wisest franchisees? I mean, Richard.
Well, as I've said earlier on, perhaps the most considered, calm and collected of the bidders are Rajasthan Royals. They don't get too carried away. They are cool, calm, and collected. It's interesting how sophisticated the franchises have become over the year, and how good they've become at bidding. And after one particular auction, the Delhi Daredevils, who the year beforehand had been a little bit confused once or twice, had improved beyond recognition. They'd been practicing with mock auctions in the run-up to the IPL auction itself. And after the event, I actually went up to the owner of the Delhi Daredevils and gave him a prize, a replica IPL gavel. That was a prize for being the most improved bidder. So basically, they've all become much better. We've had one or two instances over the years with disputed bids, 2 in particular. Alas, 2 of them both involved RCB, but there were, perhaps we could say, delayed bids from KKR and the Kings 11 as they were then. But that is the only 2 incidents in the 11 auctions that I took whereby there was ever a need for me to exercise my discretion and to reopen the bidding.
So yes, Richard, you've closely, monitored how things happen at the auctions. So for example, there is a player like KL Rahul. He does not, have a good relationship with the bosses of LSG, and then he gets released. Now, for example, at the auction, there are teams who bid for him, and then probably he ends up at about 8 crores. After maybe 3 teams bid for him, and let's say hypothetically CSK win the bid. So it's 8 crores for KL Rahul. And that is when Lucknow Super Giants, they feel that they can get KL Rahul back at 8 crores. Because again, he's a captain, he's a wicket keeper, he's your opening batsman. So now Lucknow, they try to use their RTM for KL Rahul. Should KL Rahul have the option to say no to Lucknow?
I mean, your question may be relevant to some, but that is not the role of the auctioneer. The auctioneer is there to conduct proceedings, to make sure that the bidding is fair and consistent, the increments are regulated, that all bids are recognised in the room. But I think you're moving on to another level, which is outside the realms of the auctioneer and its supposition. An auctioneer has to focus on selling that one player. Now, if there is a right to match, that's absolutely fine. But the duty of the auctioneer is to get the bidding up to that level where there is, the hammer falls, and the player is effectively sold. It is then up to the franchises to decide who he plays for. Perhaps I'm avoiding your question, but it is beyond the realms of the auctioneer when I was taking the sales, and it will not affect Malik Sagar today. I think if a player makes himself available to go into the auction and makes himself available to be bid for any of the franchises, then when he is sold, that is who he should play for. If he wants to stipulate beforehand, that would be very difficult in an auction scenario whereby the auctioneer would be told that he couldn't accept bids for a player from a particular franchise. So each and every player has to be available for the length of the tournament, which of course has been an area for debate over the years, certainly with some of the overseas players, especially the English players. But ultimately, my view would be if you put yourself in the auction, you should play for whoever is prepared to bid for you. After all, you, the players, are benefiting financially. It's not the franchise holders. It's not the auctioneer. You, the players, are the ones who gain financially from the IPL auction, and that is the big difference in the IPL auction from any other auctions is that that normally it is the owner that benefits when you're selling at auction. In this case, the recipient of the hammer price is the player himself. So that's a very unusual situation, and the auctioneer has no commission paid at all. The auctioneer is paid a performance fee based on his time and expertise, but not on the hammer price. So I have no incentive to drive the prices up, and who the player plays for is of interest, but it doesn't influence me.
Right, Richard. So, Richard, finally, we are down to our final question. And yes, it is the question everybody wants to ask if they get an opportunity to meet you. What if you got the opportunity to auction Virat Kohli? He is going to break the bank, but how much do you think he's going to fetch at an auction?
Well, of course, there are two players who never came into the IPL auction. And one of them, of course, was Sachin Tendulkar, who was obviously going to play for Mumbai, whatever the highest price was in IPL 1. Those players who were excluded had a 15%, I believe, paid for them above the highest hammer price on the day. And of course, there was a young fellow called Virat Kohli who was captain of the victorious Indian under-19 11 at the time, who also never came into the auction. Well, of course, how much could Virat Kohli make? There is one thing that would restrict both selling Sachin Tendulkar and Virat Kohli, and that is, of course, the salary cap. And it's all very well to say, well, who knows how much a player could make, but actually there is a maximum figure that a player could sell for. In his peak, I would say that Kohli would have been a huge attraction to almost every franchise. Today we've got Rishabh Pant coming into the auction, so the auction record is going to be smashed, I think, today for the highest price ever paid for a cricketer in IPL history. And I've seen figures bandied around for Pant, which are eye-watering. All I would say is whatever he sells for today, Kohli would have made more.
I would like to wish you all the best going ahead, wish you good health. And also, guys, we got a perspective of what exactly happens at an IPL auction. Thanks to Richard Madley. Thank you so much, Richard, for joining us. Stay tuned to Republic, our sport, for all the latest across sports. Thank you so much.